Hello, beautiful people, and welcome. In today's video, we are going through our homework number 3 for semester 2 in Math Foundations. Let's go ahead and get started. Remember, I am human, so if I make a mistake, please let me know where the mistake occurs. In question number 1, this is asking us to plot our points. So we are going to look at the x numbers and the y numbers, and then put those on the graph. So let's start with k. K, we have x and y. So for x, we're going to find the number 1. And for y, we're going to find the number 7. Then we want to write the letter k. Then we have j, negative 10 and positive 1. For I, 2 and 0. H, negative 5 and negative 3. Oops, I forgot to label these. Let's go back. This one was negative 10 and 1, that's J. This one was I. Then we have H, and then we have G, which is negative 3 and positive 2. Okay. Kind of the same, but backwards. Question number 2 is asking us to state what the coordinates are. So now we're looking at each point, and we're going to identify what the X and the Y values are. Now for each one, because they want coordinates, keyword here is coordinates, you're going to be working with parentheses and a comma in the middle for all of these answers. Now remember, when you have this, you're going to have an X first, comma, and then a Y. So what I like to do is I like to draw some lines going up or down and then left or right. So let's start with H. Here's H. I'm going to go up to this number, which is negative 10. And then I'm going to go over, which is this number. And that happens to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 negative. So we got negative 10, negative 5 for H. I, where's I? I is here. Again, we're going to go up. That number is negative 1. And this number is negative 9. J, where's J? J is here. Go up. That's a positive 8. And we're going to go over, which is a negative 4. And for K, K is here. I'm going to go up, which is 0, right? This right here is, sorry, let me backtrack. This is not 0. This is already at negative 5. We're just not going to the left or the right, which that part is 0. So negative 5, comma 0. Right, moving on. Number 3, graph the following equations, identify slope and the y-intercept. Okay, so when we are looking at a slope-intercept equation, we are going to have a number in front of x. That is going to be our slope. And we're going to have a number behind x, which is going to be our y-intercept. So for slope, we have negative 1/2. Y-intercept, we got 0, comma, negative 5. And I think I'm going to go back here. This one's wrong. I think I said it correctly the first time. Let's change that. Let's make sure that I can fix my mistakes. It was 0 and then negative 5. So let's change this one here for K, 0 and negative 5. I said it right the first time. That's on the y-axis. So we want the letter y, because it's on the y-axis, to be negative 5, and x should be 0 on that K. Okay, I'm happy I caught that mistake. And then let's go ahead and put parentheses around here. So how do you graph? Well, you're going to start at your y-intercept. Here's your y-axis. Find that positive 5. Put a dot on it. Now, because we have a negative slope, we are going to be going down. This is decreasing. So we got 1 down and 2 to the right. 1 down, 2 to the right. 1 down, 2 to the right. 1 down, 2 to the right. And you kind of keep following that pattern until you run out of space. Then you go to the opposites. Now I'm doing 1 up, 2 to the left, 1 up, 2 to the left, until you run out of space. Then you're going to pick up a ruler. You're going to place your ruler slightly under your points. And you're going to connect. Make sure you have an arrow. Okay, let's go again. So again, the number in front of x, that is your slope. The number behind x, that's your y-intercept. So slope here is 5. Y-intercept is 0, -7. So again, so how do we graph? We're going to start with this intercept at -7. Find -7 on the y-axis. Now, because our slope was just 5, we can put a 1 underneath it. And it is positive, so we're going to be going up 5 and 1 to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1. Okay, looks like I don't have space to go the other direction. That's okay. We're going to place our ruler next to your line, your points, and create a line. Make sure you have arrows. Okay, moving on. Now this one is asking you, there's 3 different questions. It's asking you to write the equation and then identify slope and y-intercept. So it looks like on the very first one, we do not have a slope or intercept question. So we're just asking for the line. Because this is a vertical line, this line is going up, down. That means this is going to be a one variable equation going through the x-axis. So that means for our equation, we're going to have x is equal to -4. Now, something like this, where it's kind of slanted, that means we're going to have to count slope, and we're going to identify the y-intercept so that we can write an equation. Let's start with our y-intercept. Y-intercept is going to be on the y-axis, and it's going to be that point where the line crosses that y-axis. So for us, it's going to be at 0, +4 for the y-intercept. Next, you want to choose a pretty point that is very close to your y-axis. We are going up 2, and we're going to take 1 to the right. So that means I went up 2, 1 to the right. So that way we have an increasing slope. We have an increasing line, so our line is going to be positive. So for our equation, we have y is equal to, this is a +2/1. You can just write +2 x, and then we have a +4 for our y-intercept. If you write 2/1 positive, that is okay. Let's go ahead one more time. Let's find our y-axis on our y. For our y-intercept, here's my point. That means my y-intercept is going to be at 0, 1. For our slope, we're going to find another pretty point. Looks like I have a pretty point here. I'm going to go here 2 and 1. Now notice I did go up, but I went to the left. So instead of going up and to the left, I'm going to go down 1, 2, 2 down, and 1 to the right. So I went down, slope, down 2, 1 to the right. Now we also know this is going to be a negative slope because this is going downhill. And it is a decreasing function. It is going down. So that means for our answer, we should have a negative slope. Now you can do 2/1 negative or just 2 negative. X, we do have a +1 for our y-intercept. Okay. Now, if they give you an equation in standard form, this is a little bit different in graphing. You're going to copy down the equation in both sections. And you're going to set what you don't want equal to 0. So I want the x, so I'm going to keep the x. But for y, I'm going to remove y by placing 0 in it. If you want y, then we're going to open for x and make x 0. And what happens when you input a 0, that this term right here, that goes away. And then this one goes away. So we end up having 2 times x is equal to 6. Divide by 2, divide by 2. X is then equal to 3, but remember this here is not our x-intercept. Our x-intercept is a point. So we're going to have a point at 3, 0. This is what we want. Similarly, on the other side, just be careful. There is a little hiccup here that can happen. We do have a negative in front of 6. So we have -6 times y is equal to 6. Then we can divide by -6 both sides, dotted line for balance. Remember, this is division, not subtraction, so we get y is equal to same or different, different, so that means it's going to be a negative. 6 divided by 6 is 1. Let's put that in a thinking bubble because that's not our answer. And our answer is 0, negative 1. Now, what is the purpose of these intercepts? Well, we get to use them to graph. So on the x-axis, we're going to find the number 3. That's going to be a point. On the y-axis, we're going to find the number negative 1. That's going to be a point. And so what then we can do is we can pick up a ruler and connect for our line. Now you can also count slope here. So we go 1 up, 1, 2, 3. So we can continue 1 up, 1, 2, 3, 1 up, 1, 2, 3, and continue here. So if you wanted to use this to create more points, that's okay. You can do that. Or you can just stick with your x and y intercept and then just draw a line through them. That's okay as well. Okay, let's go ahead and do the next one. Again, we're going to copy 3x minus 9y is equal to negative 18 twice. 3x minus 9y is equal to negative 18. We're going to input what we don't want for 0. So x is what we want. We keep x. That means my y is going to become 0. We're going to want to keep y, so that means my x is going to become 0. That means this term here, this negative 9 times 0, that's going to be 0, that's gone. And here, 3 times 0 is 0, that's gone. We're going to bring down the 3 times x is equal to negative 18, and then divide both sides by 3. Remember, this is division here. So when we are dividing, we're going to ask ourselves, is this same or different on the symbols? And because we have a negative and a positive, that means our answer is going to be negative. And then 18 divided by 3 is 6. Thinking bubble for our answer of negative 6, 0. Okay. Again, be careful. This one does want to trick you by having this negative in front of 9. So make sure you take down the negative and then divide by negative 9. Y is then equal to same or different. This is same, so positive. 18 divided by 9 is 2. Thinking bubble, this is not our answer. We need to write our answer as a point of 0, positive 2. So again, what's the purpose of these answers? The purpose is to graph a line with our x and y intercepts. On x, we're going to find negative 6. On y, we're going to find a positive 2. Connect. Again, you can count slope here if you want. Make sure you have arrow. Okay. Moving on. For the next one, it says write the slope intercept form for the given line. Okay, so you got to be careful in reading the directions and what these questions are asking. We want slope intercept form. And that slope intercept form looks like y equals mx plus b. Okay, so what is this question actually asking? Is it's asking you to solve for y. Okay, when you solve for y, it's very important that you're always going to not combine terms. You're not actually adding, subtracting anything. What you are doing is you're literally moving things to the other side and then dividing. This is in standard form first, and then we might do something else in a different question. So you're going to subtract 5x. This minus needs to be there. Remove the x's. Bring down the negative 2 times y. Here on the other side, I get negative 5x plus 20. Now it's a plus 20 because 20 is positive. Then you're going to divide every single thing by this negative 2. Now our goal on one side here is to remove the -2, but here it's to divide. We get negative negative, which is a positive, so we get positive 5/2 x. Positive negative gives me a negative. 20 divided by 2 is 10. And we want to get y by itself, so when y is by itself, you are done. Next up, same thing, and you're going to keep doing the same thing for these two here. You always want to start by subtracting your x value, so I'm going to subtract x. Bring down to -8 times y. Here I'm writing -3x plus 24. And again, now here we're going to divide by -8. Every single thing gets divided by -8. Y is then equal to, same or different. These are same, so we're going to have a positive 3 over 8. Now, if these numbers can be smaller, simplified, then you must simplify. And so we got same or different, different, so negative. And 24 divided by 8 is 3. So -3 here. Let's do that one more time. Minus 7x, dotted line for balance, minus 7x. Bring down the -4 times y. Here, bring down -7x minus 24. Divide every single thing by a -4. We have y is equal to same or different, same, so positive 7/4. X minus and a positive, so this is negative. 24 divided by 4 is 6. Okay, moving on. Write the equation in point slope form. I'm going to pause there because this is what they want, the equation to be in point slope form. Now, point slope form is y minus open y1, close it, equals m open x minus x1. Close it and close it. Which means that we're going to need two things. We're going to need our m, which is step number 1, it's slope. And then our point, which we kind of already know, is your y1 and your x1. To have our points, we first got to label them x1, y1, x2, y2. x1, y1, x2, y2. To solve for slope, you need to know what the slope formula is. It's open minus open divided by open minus open. So y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. So y2 is 5, y1 is -2, x2 is -4, x1 is -1. Be careful here of double negative. We do have a minus minus and a minus minus on both, which means now we have 5 plus 2, -4 plus 1. Here, these are counters. So 5, 6, 7. -4 and 1 gives me 4 minuses. 1 plus, that means we have a 0 pair. Left over is -3. Now, if this can be simplified, you have to simplify it by 7 and 3. They don't get along. So we're going to write our answer. Slope is equal to -7/3. Now, again, what is the point? Write the answer in point slope form. So we are going to take our formula. Y minus y1 is equal to m open x minus open x1, close it, and input our information. So y minus y1 is equal to m open x minus x1. y1 was -2, x1 is -1, and m, your slope, this is what we just solved for. So we got -7/3. If you have double negatives, which we do, we got to make them into a positive. And it looks like both of them are double negative. So for our answer, we're going to write y plus 2 is equal to -7/3. Open x plus 1, close it. Let's do it again. Now again, this one's asking for point slope form. So it's going to be similar to question number 6. We're going to start off by finding what the slope is, solving for slope. So slope, open minus open, open minus open, y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. Label your point, don't forget that. x1, y1, x2, y2. So that means y2 is negative 2, y1 is negative 1, x2 is 0, x1 is negative 5. If you have any double negatives, make them into a positive, which we do. So now we have negative 2 plus 1 over 0 plus 5. These are counters. We have 2 minuses and 1 positive, which means we have a negative 1 on top. 0 plus 5 is 5. Again, if we can simplify, do it. This cannot be simplified. So our slope is equal to negative 1 over 5. Ready to write our equation. Again, what's our point? The point is to write it in point slope form. We got to know our equations. Y minus y1 equals m open x minus x1. Close it, close it. The m is what we solved for. That's your slope. And then the y1 and x1, we already know what those are because that's what we did when we labeled our points. We acquired those values. So y1 is negative 1 and x1 was negative 5. If we have double negatives, you got to make them into a positive, and it looks like we have both double negatives. So we're going to write our answer as y plus 1 is equal to negative 1 over 5, close, x plus 5, close. Okay, moving on. Now this one is asking us for a different format, so you have to be careful of what the question is asking. This one is asking for slope-intercept form. So slope-intercept form is your y equals mx plus b. So it's a completely different format. However, the first two steps are exactly the same. So you're going to solve for slope. Then you're going to write point slope form. And then the very last step is going to be to distribute and solve for y. So let's go ahead and label our point x1, y1, x2, y2. Write out our slope formula. y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. Put in your values. So y2 is 1, y1 is negative 5, x2 is negative 2, x1 is 0. If you have any double negatives, make them into a positive. Looks like we only have one double negative, so we have 1 plus 5 over negative 2 minus nothing. Counters here. 1 plus 5 is 6. Negative 2 minus 0 is negative 2. And this is an example where, yes, you must simplify. This is division here. And 6 and 2 do get along because 6 divided by 2 is 3. Same or different, different. So that means our slope is going to be, you can do over 1 here, and then without the 1 on the bottom for your answer. You could also divide top and bottom by 2. And making that, let me change a little bit of what I wrote so it'll make a little bit more sense. So since we divided top and bottom by 2, we have 3 on top and negative 1 on the bottom, which makes it here a negative 3. Now again, in this one, we're writing point slope form. Point slope form is y minus y1, close it, equals m, open, x minus x1, close it, close it. So we have y minus y1, negative 5. M is your slope, which is negative 3. Open, x minus x1. X1 was 0. You have double negatives. Take care of those. And so we have y plus 5 is equal to negative 3. Open, x. You can keep the 0 if you want, or you can remove it. That's fine as well. Now, this is not the point of the question. The point of the question, the purpose of the question is for slope-intercept form. This is where you're going to solve for y and make it y equals mx plus b. That's the purpose of the question. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your equation, y plus 5 is equal to -3, open x minus 0, dotted line for balance, and you're going to distribute your -3. So I'm going to have -3 times x and -3 times, you can put -0, you can put just 0 here, that's fine. It's not always 0, be careful. In this example, it is 0, which kind of helps us out because -3x, same or different, same, 3 times 0 is 0. Subtract 5 on both sides. So that means we have y, bring down the -3x, 0 minus 5 is -5. So for our answer, we get y equals -3x minus 5. Moving on to question number 9. Again, it's a repeat. We are wanting slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. In order to do that, we first have to calculate our slope. x1, y1 are our points, x2, y2 are our points, and we're going to write out the slope formula. Remember that the slope formula is different than labeling your points. It is going to be y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. y2 is -1, y1 is 5, x2 is 3, x1 is 0. Okay, let's go ahead. Do we have any double negatives here? No. 5, so we have -1 minus 5. Here, do we have any double zeros? No, we have 3 minus 0. So negative and more negatives gives me a -6. 3 minus 0 is still 3. Again, here, this is still division. 6 and 3, they do get along. We got to ask ourselves same or different. So we're going to divide by 2, top and bottom. We get -3. Just kidding. We don't want to divide by 2 because 2 and 3, they don't get along. Let's divide by 3 instead. I think that would be better. Get 6 and 3 and 3 get along. So we get 6 and 3 is 2. 3 and 3 is 1. And remember, when you have a 1 in the denominator, you don't need to write it. So we're going to have m is equal to -2 here. Again, we're writing our point slope form. So remember the difference between a point slope form versus slope intercept. It's a different formula. Point slope form, y minus y1 equals m open x minus x1. Remember your slope is your m value. We get y minus y1 was 5. M was -2. X minus x1 was 0. Oh, it looks like we did another 0. It's not always 0. Be careful. Double negatives? Nope. So we have y minus 5 is equal to -2. Open x minus 0. Close it. Again, it's not always 0. Please be careful on that. Distribute. So we're going to bring that equation down. We get y minus 5 is equal to -2. Open x minus 0. Dotted line for balance here. Definitely needed. And you're going to multiply -2 into x, so -2 times x, and -2 times 0. You can do -0 here if you want. Bring down the y minus 5. Here we have -2x, same or different, same, and 2 times 0 is 0. Now be careful here, I see a minus, so we're going to be adding 5 to both sides. That means y, bring down the -2x. 0 plus 5 is a positive 5. So our answer is y is equal to -2x plus 5 here. Okay, let's go ahead and move on. Now these ones here are your memorization. You are going to be able to use your multiplication table for this, and you're going to evaluate your square roots. So now what I need to see here is I need to see your expansions and your simplifications if possible. So for the square root of 2, if we expand it, it's going to be 2 times 1. Because it's 2 times 1, we cannot simplify it, and our answer is still the square root of 2. No change. However, if we split up 32, 32 can be split up into 16 and 2. And what that means is this square root of 16 can be simplified to 4. And so then our answer is going to be 4 times the square root of 2. 8, similarly, can be split up into 4 times 2. Square root of 4 can be simplified to 2 without the house. Be careful, because having a house and not having a house is a very big difference in real life and in math. So be careful on that. Square root of 16, we already know that that should be just 4. But if we were to split this up, we can say 4 times 4, which is just 4. Again, inside the house for your expansion, outside the house here for an answer. 100, again, you can separate this out into 10 times 10 inside the house. Outside the house is without a radical, which is just 10. 27 can be split up into 9 times 3. 9 can be simplified into 3 without a radical, without a house. So our answer is going to be 3 root 3. 48 can be simplified into 16 and 3. 16, 3. Again, what is the square root of 16? That is 4. So we get 4 root 3 as our answer. 50. Now 50, be careful, because it's very tempting to write 5 times 10, which is incorrect. This is actually going to be 25 times 2, because we can simplify 25. The whole purpose of what we're doing is to make these not inside the radical. So we want to simplify the radical. We want to simplify the houses. And we get 5 root 2. 49 is 7 times 7. So inside the house, we have still 49. But once we leave the house, we're going to look a little different. And so we're going to have just 7. 144 is again 12. So we're going to have 12 times 12 inside the radical, inside the square root, and 12, just 12, no house, no radical here. 45, again, be careful. 45 is 9 and 5. So we have 9 times 5. We can simplify the square root of 9. Square root of 9 is 3. So we get 3 root 5. 18. Again, we're going to be careful on this one, because sometimes we get 6. We don't want to use 6. We want 9 times 2. And the reason we don't want to use 6 is because 6 is not something we can simplify. However, 9 is. So 9 root 2. Couple more. Same thing here. You don't want to use 6. So instead, we're going to use 4 and 3. We're going to use 4 because 4 can be simplified into the square root. Square root of 4 is 2. 64, well, that's 8 times 8. And we're going to write that out. No house, because we have 8 times 8. This is going to be without the radical, without the square root, just 8 as our answer. 5 cannot be simplified, because if we try to expand this, we get 5 times 1, which is still the square root of 5. Okay, so this one still, just like the square root of 2, needs that house as your answer. Okay, needs that square root, needs that square root. Square root of 9, we kind of did this a couple times already. That can be expanded as 3 times 3. And this is why we can simplify it. It's just 3. 14, well, that is 7 and 2. Now, square root of 7 and square root of 2 both cannot be simplified. So we are still left with the square root of 14. This is no change. And 169 is your 13s. 13 times 13. And again, this is going to be without the square root, 13 as an answer. These are not all of your memorization. Please refer to your memorization sheet. These are just a sample, okay? Moving on, question 11. Find the distance between each pair. So distance is a formula that you need to have memorized. So let's start with first labeling our point. X1, Y1, X2, Y2. Distance formula is going to be little d is equal to a big square root. There's going to be 2 parentheses, both of them are squared. You have a big plus in the middle and 2 minuses. And the formula goes x2 minus x1 quantity squared plus y2 minus y1 quantity squared. Take the square root. So that means that when you work on your distance, with each step, your radical, your squared, is going to get smaller and smaller and smaller until you get to the answer. So x2 is 1, x1 is 2, y2 is negative 4, y1 is 0. Again, with each step, start making your radical, start making your house a little bit smaller. 1 minus 2 is a negative 1. Negative 4 minus 0 is a negative 4. Now, in this step, you have to be careful. This is where you are going to expand, and you're going to square your numbers. So you're going to get negative 1 times negative 1 and negative 4 times negative 4. Still we have our house, still we have our square root. Now the numbers here are always going to be positive. You're always going to do negative times a negative, so it's always going to be positive. So negative 1 times negative 1 is 1, and 4 times 4 is 16. Okay, 1 plus 16 is 17. And this is again on your memorization sheet, where 17 cannot be simplified. So we just leave it as the square root of 7 and we're done. Let's do the same thing here. Let's start with labeling our points. X2, just kidding, that's wrong. X1, let's start from X1. X1, Y1, X2, Y2. I'm not going to write out the formula. I have the formula here. I'm just going to start inputting values. Little d is equal to big square root x2 minus x1 quantity squared plus y2 minus y1 quantity squared. So x2, where's x2? x2 is here, minus x1, y2 minus y1. Now here you have to be careful because we did end up having 2 double negatives. So we're going to be adding instead of subtracting. So we have 2 plus 2 squared and negative 3 plus 1 squared. We'll make the house smaller with each step. 2 plus 2 is 4. And negative 3 plus 1, so 3 minuses 1 positive is negative 2. Expand. So we get 4 times 4 here and negative 2 times negative 2 here. 4 times 4 is 16 and 2 times 2 is 4. Add these, 16 plus 4, well, that's 20. And this is where you do need to simplify because we can split up 20 into 4 times 5. And we need to know that the square root of 4 is 2. So we're going to have 2 root 5 as our answer. All right, question number 12 is asking you to find the distance. Now, it's very important you read the directions because it's going to tell you what formula to use. So we saw slope, we saw point slope form, we saw slope intercept form, and now we're seeing things like distance. So a distance formula is something you have to have memorized. little d is equal to a big square root. We're going to have two parentheses squared with a plus symbol in the middle. And inside of the parentheses, you're going to have a minus. Now, inside of that, we have x2 minus x1 quantity squared plus y2 minus y1 quantity squared. Let's go ahead and label our points x2 or x1, y1, x2, y2. We're going to write out the distance formula. This time, we're going to be replacing your x2s, your x1s, your y2s, and your y1s. So this right here that I have, this should be your setup. And then you can put in your values. So x2 is 1, x1 is 4, y2 is negative 4, and y1 is 0. Now with each step, you are going to make your square root smaller, your house smaller. If we have double negatives, we should circle them, make them addition. We do not. Here we have 1 minus 4. This is 1 positive 4 negatives. 1 minus 4 is negative 3. Here we have negative 4, take away nothing. So we have negative 4. Again, with each step, you want to make your square root, your house, a little bit smaller. Now in this step, we are going to expand our square, which is this 2 on top. And that means we're going to have negative 3 times negative 3, negative 4 times negative 4. Now in this step right here, this is where you're always going to have positive numbers because negative times a negative is always positive, and a positive times a positive is always positive. So we get negative 3 times negative 3, which is positive 9. 4 times 4 is 16. And now we're going to, again, make our square root smaller. Make our little house smaller. And here we are just adding 9 plus 16 is equal to 25. Now this is not your answer because we need to evaluate this. 25 is 5 times 5. So we can cross out the square root of 25, making our distance of 5 without the square root, without the house. Okay, just 5. All right, let's do it one more time. x1, y1, x2, y2. Again, we have our setup. Big square root, open minus squared, and then open minus squared with a plus in the middle. x2 is 0. x1 is negative 2. y2 is negative 2. y1 is negative 4. If you have double negatives, which we do need to make them into a addition. It looks like we have 2 double negatives. Make it smaller. We have 0 plus 2 squared and negative 2 plus 4 squared. 0 plus 2 is 2. Negative 2 and 4 pluses. So 2 minuses, 4 pluses. That gives us some 0 pairs. And we get a positive 2 squared. We need to expand and expand our 2 times 2. And then go ahead and multiply. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 2 is 4. Add. 4 plus 4 is 8. And okay, here, again, this is not our answer. We do need to simplify. So to simplify that, we're going to break apart 8 into the square root of 4 times the square root of 2. And the square root of 4 is 2 without the house. Square root of 2 is with the house. So our answer is 2 root 2, or 2 times the square root of 2. Okay, moving on. Again, it's very important to read the directions. So this one is still asking us to find distance. So we're still using that distance formula. Now the questions look very different, right? So this time they're giving us a picture, and this picture is asking us to identify our points. The points are not given, they're not written out, they're given here in the form of a picture. So on the left is going to be your point 1. You're always going to drag down or up for x first. And we're going to do that for both. So we want an x and a y. And so we're going to have x1, y1, x2, y2. So 4.1, I'm going to drag down so I get -4, and then I get +4 for my point. For my second point here, I get 1 on the y-axis. So we get on the x-axis 0, and then we get +1. So we get our 2 points. Now that we've identified our 2 points, we're ready to use the distance formula. Okay, so this one's kind of like a level 2 question because the points are not written out for you. Let's write out our formula. D equals, again, it's the same formula as above. Open minus squared and open minus squared. And we're going to write in x2, which is 0, x1, which is -4, y2, which is 1, and y1, which is +4. Do we have any double negatives? We sure do. Here you go. And so with our next step, you can rewrite it or you can start skipping a little bit of steps. 0 plus 4 is 4. And 1 minus 4 is -3. Taking the square root, expand the 4 and expand the -3. So we're going to have 4 times 4. And we're going to have -3 times -3. Remember, after this, after you expand, the value is always going to be positive here, not here. This can still be negative. This step that I'm writing right now. 4 times 4 is 16. 3 times 3 negative is always +9. 16 plus 9, oops, is 25. And again, we need to evaluate that. So we have the square root of 25. We have 5 as our answer without the house. So no square root here. All right, let's do it again. Let's find point 1 and let's find point 2. So we get x1, y1. We get x2, y2. All right, so for the first point, let's go ahead and, again, always start with your x and then your y. So for your x, we have a +3. And for the y, here we have a -4. So 3, -4. And for the other one, we have 5 positive, -2 negative. Sorry, -2 for your y2. Okay, now that we have our points, one more time for your distance. Big square root. Formula is not changing. Going a little bit faster on this one. Y2 is -2. Y1 is -4. X2 is 5. Ooh, try to go a little bit faster and I wrote the wrong stuff. I'm happy that I caught myself. It's okay, I'm human. I could make mistakes. Let's go ahead and fix that. It is x2 minus x1. So x2 is 5. X1 is 3. I have to slow down so I don't make mistakes. Y2 is -2. Y1 is -4. Okay, double negatives, yes. Gonna make it into a positive here. Writing out, again, our distance. Making it a little bit smaller. 5 minus 3 is 2. -2 +4 is a -2. Okay, we need to expand. So we're going to be writing out 2 here, 2 times 2, and 2 here. Make sure these 2's are negative. Okay, let's go ahead and multiply. 2 times 2 is 4, and negative 2 times negative 2 is still a positive 4. 4 plus 4 is 8. Again, all of this is inside the radical. This is still inside the house, inside the square root. And then here we need to rewrite 8 as 4 times the square root of 2. So square root of 4 times the square root of 2. And then now we're evaluating 4 as 2 times the square root of 2. Alrighty, moving on to the next one. Looks like we have a couple more distance. Definitely need to practice that. And again, how do we know what to do? Well, we got to read the directions. This one here is the distance. Okay, let's go ahead and label our points. X1, Y1, X2, Y2. Let's go ahead and find out what our X1 is. Again, always do your X first and then your Y. So we have X is negative 2, Y is negative 4. Here we have X is 3, Y is a positive 1. And I am going to start going without trying to make a mistake, going just a little bit faster. Hopefully I don't make a mistake. So we got X2 minus X1, Y2 minus Y1. Double negatives. Yes, we actually have 2 double negatives. Again, square root. And with each step, we want to make our square root a little bit smaller. So we have 3 plus 2. We have 1 plus 4. 3 plus 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 plus 4 is also 5. 5 squared is 25. Again, we need to expand that. So this is going to be 5 times 5. And this was going to be 5 times 5. Make sure here that you're multiplying. So we have 25 plus 25. And 25 plus 25 is 50. 50 needs to be simplified. So we're going to break apart 50 into 25 times 2. And now we should simplify. We should already know how to simplify the square root of 25, which is 5. So we get 5 times the square root of 2 as our distance. This is our answer. Okay, next one, we just got, I think, 3 more for distance, and then we get to move on to a new formula. So let's go ahead and do our setup. X1, Y1, X2, Y2. Again, let's do our X first, then our Y. We get negative 4, positive 4. And that one kind of looks familiar as the one that we did already. So we might actually skip this one, yeah. 0 and 1 on the Y. We actually did that one, so if we go back here on 13, we have the exact same picture, exact same points. So I'm going to skip a little bit and write out the answer. I do want you to do this one. Let's do it together. Why not? More practice. So D equals the square root. We're just going to go a little bit faster. We did do this one a few moments ago. Put a minus in there, square it. Okay, x2 minus x1. So make sure we get the same answer, right? Because it's the same question. Y2 minus y1. Double negatives, yes. So we get 0 plus 4 is 4. 1 minus 4 is negative 3. Expand. So we get 4 times 4 and -3 times -3. 4 times 4 is 16. 3 times 3 negative is still positive 9, which means we get square root of 25, which means that we have our answer, square root of 25 is just 5. Happy to report that we did get the same answer. Okay, let's move on. Again, same label, x1, y1, x2, y2. Kind of doing it both now. x1, y1, x2, y2. Okay, let's start here on the left. Our first point is at 0 on the x and -4 on the y. Here we have 2 on the x and 0 on the y. Writing out our distance formula. Make sure there's a plus in the middle and minuses inside of your parentheses. All right, let's go ahead and start plugging in some numbers. x2 minus x1, y2 minus y1. We do have a double negative here. Let's make that into a plus. 2 minus 0 is still 2. 0 plus 4 is 4. Expand. So we get 2 times 2 and 4 times 4. 2 times 2, 4 times 4. Remember, this is multiplication here. Do not add. Okay, 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 4 is 16. 4 plus 16 is 20. We need to break apart 20 to simplify. And we're going to break it apart into 4 times 5, which means that the square root of 4 is 2. The square root of 5 stays. And our distance answer is 2 times the square root of 5. Okay, next one. We have, again, our points. Let's go up on the x. So we get -3. Y is -1. Here we have 0 for the x, and then we're going down to -2 on the y. Distance formula, once again, open, minus, and then square it. Open, minus, square it. x2 minus x1, y2 minus y1, double negatives on both. Make them into addition. Okay, 0 plus 3 is 3. -2 plus 1, so 2 minuses, 1 plus is a -1. And I remember seeing in class that we were struggling with the ones for some reason. So don't worry about this being a 1. Just go ahead and expand it. So this is still 3 times 3. And this is -1 times -1. So make sure that you are multiplying here. This is not adding. This is not counters. This is your multiplication table. So 3 times 3 is 9. And -1 times -1 is +1. That means D is equal to, the distance is equal to 9 plus 1 is 10. And 10 is one of those things that cannot be simplified. We can break it apart into 5 times 2, but 5 cannot be simplified and 2 cannot be simplified. So that means root 10, the square root of 10, is your answer. Okay, moving on. And we can take a little break from distance because if we read the directions, this one's asking us for the midpoint formula. So new formula for us. Let's write it here on top. You're going to do really big parentheses for the midpoint. You're going to put a big comma in the middle. You're going to do a big division bar with a 2 underneath it. And on top of that, you're going to do a plus. Now, with a midpoint formula, you're going to take your two x's, so x1 and x2, and you're going to add them, y1 and y2, you're going to add them. On top, you're going to have counters, and then you're going to divide those numbers by 2. Okay, so let's go ahead and start by labeling our points, x1, y1, x2, y2, drawing out big parentheses, big comma in the middle with a 2 in the denominator, pluses and pluses. All right, x1, -1, x2, +1, y1, -8, y2, 10. And again, what you're doing here is you're going to be adding on top, these are counters, okay, counters on top. You're still going to, with each step, open your parentheses, do a comma, and right now we're still doing the 2 because we did not divide. 1 minus 1 plus, this is 0. 10 take away 8, or 8 minuses 10 pluses is a +2. Now in this step, you need to divide. So you're going to be dividing 0 and 2. You're going to be dividing 2 and 2. So 0 divided by 2 is 0. And 2 divided by 2 is 1. So your answer is a point, 0, 1 with parentheses. It has to be parentheses. All right, let's go again. These go rather quickly. x1, y1, x2, y2. In big parentheses, comma, divided by 2 with a plus. Take your x's, -4 and 0. Take your y's, -5, -1. We're going to use counters to count for the numerators for the numbers on top. Big parentheses, comma, divided by 2, divided by 2. -4 plus nothing is still -4. -5 and -1, that's -6. This step, make sure you need to divide. So we are dividing. This is where you're asking yourself same or different, and you're using your multiplication table. So same or different, these are different. So we're going to have a negative. 4 divided by 2 is 2. -6 divided by 2, same or different, different. -6, so 6 divided by 2 is 3. Okay, moving on. Next one. x1, y1, x2, y2, parentheses, divided by 2 with a plus. Take your x's, -8, -2. Take your y's, 4 and 0. Again, counters on top, counters on top. Divided by 2, divided by 2. Okay, so we have here 8 minuses, 2 more minuses. So 8 and 2 more minuses, that's -10. 4 plus nothing is still 4. Again, after you do this step, you're going to be dividing. So you're asking yourself, are these same or different? So negative and positive is a negative. 10 divided by 2 is 5. And 4 divided by 2, these are same, so this is going to be a positive number. 4 divided by 2 is 2. Make sure you have parentheses in your answer. Without parentheses, it's wrong. Okay, again, x1, y1, x2, y2. Big divided by 2, big divided by 2 with a plus and a plus. Okay, what do we have? We have x's, so we got 8 and 8, and we got our y's, 10 and 4. Counters on top, counters on top. Okay, 8 plus 8 is 16, 10 plus 4 is 14. Here we are asking ourselves, same or different. This is going to be our division. This is going to be dividing. 16 divided by 2, same or different, these are same, so +8. And 14 divided by 2, these are also same, so it's going to be positive with a 7. Parentheses are required around your numbers. Okay, next one, x1, y1, x2, y2. parentheses, comma, divided by 2 with a plus. X2, -5, x1. Oh, it really wouldn't make that big of a difference if you did x2 and x1. That's not the big deal. But technically, the formula is x1. So if you accidentally do if you accidentally do x2 plus x1 and y2 plus y1, that's not going to be the end of the world. Still going to give you the correct answer. All right, so let's go ahead and do counters. So we get 3 plus 3 is 9. -9. Oh, 3 plus 3 is 9. That's wrong. Hold on. Trying to go too fast now. X1 is 3. X2 is -5. Let's fix this one more time. This is -5. Okay, so 5 minuses. 5 minuses, 3 pluses. That means we get -2. There you go. And then here we have -9, and a +3. So it gives us -6. Again, these are counters and counter. Same or different, these are different. So 2 divided by 2 is 1, so -1. Same or different, different. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Okay, labeling our points, x1, y1, x2, y2. Writing out our formula for midpoint, we got comma, parentheses, divided by 2, divided by 2. Take your x's, 2 and -10. Take your y's, -4 and 10. On top, we are doing counters. 10 negatives or 10 minuses and 2 pluses give us a -8. -4 plus 10, so 10 pluses, 4 minuses give us a +6. Here we are dividing. Asking yourself same or different. So negative positive is a negative. 8 divided by 2 is 4. Positive positive is a positive. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Okay. Again, x1, y1, x2, y2. Okay, write out your midpoint formula. Divided by 2 with a plus and with a plus. Take your x's, 0 and 4. Take your y's, 5 and -7. Counters on top, counters on top. 0 plus 4 is 4. 7 minuses, 5 pluses is -2. And here we are dividing. Same or different, same. So we got +2. Same or different, different. 2 divided by 2 is 1. Okay, one more. x1, y1, x2, y2. Oops, not distance. We are definitely not doing distance. This is midpoint. So let's go ahead and write the correct formula. Big parentheses, divided by 2 with a plus in the middle. Taking our x's, 1 and 9, adding them. Taking our y's, 2 and 10, adding them. On top, we are working with counters. 1 plus 9 is 10. 2 plus 10 is 12. Here we are dividing. So we are asking ourselves same or different. These both are going to be same, so 10 and 2 are both positive. 10 divided by 2 is a +5. Both are positive. 12 divided by 2 is 6. Okay, so make sure you have your midpoint formula memorized. Okay, moving on. Now this one here is a review. This is very important for Integrated Math 1. And these are solving equations. Let's go ahead and start with number 16. Whenever you see a letter and a number next to each other like this, we're going to separate them with a multiplication symbol. Now again, for this, you can use your multiplication table to help with your multiplying and dividing. So here we're going to see this little dot, so we are going to divide by 3 both sides. One side, our goal is to remove the 3, so we want the 3 to be gone. On the other side, we're actually going to be dividing. Let's bring down the h. Same or different? Different. 15 divided by 3 is 5. Now, if you see a division, so notice that there's this line here. That means you have already division. You don't divide anymore. Instead, you're going to pick up the number that's in the bottom, and you're going to multiply that number both sides. Dotted line for balance. Again, on one side, our goal is to remove that -4. We have left over v, and on this side, our goal is to multiply. Same or different? These are different, so my answer is going to be negative. And then use your multiplication for 8 times 4, which is 32. V is equal to -32. Again, when you see a letter and a number next to each other, you're going to separate them with a multiplication. You're going to divide by that number, divide by that number. Again, our goal on one side is to remove, bring down your x. On the other side, our goal is to divide. So same or different? Same. 21 divided by 7. How many times does 7 go into 21? And that is 3. So our answer is +3. Okay, moving on here. These are level 2. So these are 1 step. These are level 2, 2 steps. So in a level 2, you're going to circle the term with the letters. So notice that there's an H with -2. So I'm going to circle it. I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to cover that bubble. Dotted line for balance. And you're going to see that there's a -5 right here. That means that we need to undo that -5 by adding 5 to both sides. On one side, our goal is to remove. On the other side, our goal is to add, subtract, right? This is adding. But right here, these are counters. So 15 plus 5 is 20. And then afterwards, you're going to bring down that -2h. Now, when you bring this down, remember, any number next to a letter is multiplication. So we can put that multiplication dot there. And then that means we're going to divide. We're going to divide by -2, both sides. On one side, our goal is to remove. On the other side, our task is to divide. Let's bring down h. Same or different? Different. 20 and 2. So how many times does 2 go into 20? And that is 10. Again, you can use your multiplication table for these to help with your division. Okay, dotted line. Let's go ahead and circle the term with the variable. So here's your term with v. We're going to take our finger, we're going to cover. Notice we have a -7. So I'm going to add 7 to both sides. Again, on one side, our goal is to remove. On the other side, our goal is to do counters, and we're just adding these together. 7, 8, 9, 10 is what we have. Bring down your v divided by -2. Okay, so what we have is we have an over situation. V over -2. -2 is on the bottom. But because we have this line right here, this is our division line. This is what we have. We have division. So we are going to undo this by taking this -2 and multiplying both sides by the -2. On one side, our goal is to remove -2, leaving us with v. On the other side, our goal is to multiply. Same or different? Different. 10 times 2 is 20. Let's do that again. We're going to circle the term with the letter, cover it up, dotted line for balance. Now in this example, I see a positive, so that means I'm going to be subtracting for both sides. Remove and use counters. Now here is a little bit different than the other two examples because we are technically not adding, even though technically we are. We have 6 minuses and 4 more minuses. That means I have a total of negative 10 minus or 10 negatives. Bring down your x over 3. So again, situation like this one where we have division. Okay, given to us is this line. Because we see that line, we're going to pick up the 3. We're going to multiply top and bottom. Sorry, we're just going to multiply top by this 3, removing the bottom. Bring down the x. Same or different? Different. 3 times 10 is 30. Okay, moving on. So this question number 18 is not an equation. Notice that we do not have equals. None of these right here have an equals, right? This is all just an expression. So what they're asking you here is to distribute and combine like terms. So distributive property is where you're going to be multiplying inward that outside number. So for example, we have 2 on the outside, so 2 times 3h and 2 times a positive 5. Now remember, this is multiplication, so we're going to be timesing the numbers together. So 2 times 3 is 6. Do I have a letter? Yes, so we're going to just put that h there, bring it down. And we're going to ask ourselves same or different. So positive is a positive. 2 times 5 is 10. There's nothing for us to combine. Remember, combining means same letter has to be put together or no letters have to be put together. Okay, let's go ahead and distribute again. We got 3 going on to negative 4. So 3 times open negative 4x. And 3 going to positive 2. 3 times open, positive 2, close it. Notice that we have this negative 7. We just copied that negative 7x down here. All right, let's go ahead and multiply. 3 times negative, so same or different, different. 3 times 4 is 12. Do I have a letter? Yes, it is x. Same or different, same. 3 times 2 is 6. And we still have that kind of leftover negative 7x at the bottom or at the end. Now, again, our goal is to combine like terms if possible. So combining like terms is finding numbers that share the same letter. So for example, we have negative 12 and negative 7 that we need to put together. So these here need to be combined. So we got 12 minuses, 7 minus 7, 8, 9. So we get a total of negative 19 x's. And then plus 6 is not with any letter. Okay, it doesn't have a letter, so you cannot combine it with our x's. These are different terms. These are unlike terms, so these cannot be combined. Okay, next one. Let's distribute. Let's multiply in 4. 4 times negative 5p. And multiply in a 4. 4 times negative 4. Now notice that we have a couple things at the end. We have a positive 7 and a negative 2p. Let's go ahead and multiply. Same or different? Different. 4 times 5 is 20. Do I have a letter? Yes, it is p. Same or different? Different. 4 times 4 is 16. Bring down your other 2, so plus 7 and minus 2p. Now for this one, you have a choice. You can combine like terms in different ways. If you wanted to, you can write them out like lines. We have a negative 20p, a negative 16, a plus 7, and a minus 2p. You don't have to do it this way. You can do it like this with lines instead. So 20 p's that are minuses and 2 more p's that are minus. So that gives me a negative 22p. Here I have negative 16 and a positive 7. So 16 minuses, 7 pluses, give me a negative 9. Now remember, this is not our answer. We have to write this in a format of negative 22p minus 9 for our combining like terms. Let's move on. So notice no equals, no equals, no equals, no equals, no equals, no equals. So these are called expressions. Okay. Now with combining like terms, we move back into equations with an equals. So remember, an equals is a dotted line for balance, and you're going to have to work with one side at a time. So we are going to be combining like terms, putting things together that share the same letter or that don't have any letters at all. For example, here are two terms that we need to put together. So we have -4 and -5. These are counters. We're putting those together. 4 is not with an X, so we're going to leave it out. And 4 minuses 5 minuses, we get -9x. Bring down the -23. Here, again, we're going to circle the term with the X. I'm going to take my finger, I'm going to cover it. I see a 4, that's a positive, so I'm going to be subtracting 4 on both sides. Remove the 4. Here I have minuses, here I have negative and more negatives. These are counters. So that means 4, 5, 6, 7, -27 is what we have. Bring down the -9 times x, dotted line for balance. We see multiplication, so we are now going to divide by -9. On one side, our goal is to remove. On the other side, our goal is to divide. So we're going to ask ourselves same or different. These are the same, so our answer is going to be positive. 27 divided by 9 is 3. You can use your multiplication table for this. Now on this question, let's do a dotted line for balance. Notice that we only have one term, one thing with x, but instead I have a -1 and a 2. So I'm going to put a circle around this -4x. This right here, -4x, cannot be combined with 2 and -1. So to combine like terms, we're going to be combining 2 minus 1. So 2 minus 1 is 2. Remember counters. Oops, 2 minus 1 is not 2. 2 minus 1 is 1, positive. You can put plus if you want, and then we're going to bring down that -4x, and I'm still going to put parentheses, not parentheses, a circle around it. Bring down your 21. And here we are going to cover the -4x. Remember, I've combined like terms. I have this +1. I'm going to be subtracting 1, subtracting 1. Remove the ones. This is counters. 21 take away 1 is 20. Bring down your -4 times x. We're going to divide by -4, divide by -4. Remember, on one side, our goal is to remove. This is gone. Bring down the x. And on the other side, this is division. Same or different, different. 20 divided by 4 is 5. Use your multiplication table for that. Now, this one's kind of kicking it up a little bit. In that, you notice that we need to distribute. We're going to take that -8 and bring it onto x, so -8 times open x, and -8 times open +6 close it. So this is called the distributive property. We're going to distribute that -8. I'm going to bring down that -88 on the other side. Okay, 8 times x, -8 times x is -8x. Same or different, different. 8 times 6 is 48. So we get a -48 here, -88 here. Again, we're going to circle the term with the x. I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to cover that term. That means I'm going to add 48 to both sides. Again, remove on one side, counters on the other. So we get 88 minuses and 48 pluses that give us -40 equals, bring down the -8 times x. We're going to divide by -8, divide by -8. Again, our goal on one side is to remove, bring down the x. On the other side, our goal is to divide. So we're going to have negative and a negative. Our answer is positive. These are the same, right? Negative, negative is same. 40 divided by 8 is 5. So x is equal to 5. Okay, and this one here is kind of a level 4 because it does require you to do distributive property, combining like terms, and then solving. So I gave you a little bit of extra space for a reason. Let's do a big dotted line for balance. I'm going to start here. I need some space. I'm going to start by distributing that -2. So -2 times open 2, -2 and -2 times open -8a. Okay, so this is here. Next, we get -1 times open -2 and -1 times open positive 3a. Now on the other side, we just have 50, so we're going to write 50. Let's go ahead and multiply. Negative, positive, these are different, so negative. 2 times 2 is 4. Negative, negative, these are same. 2 times 8 is 16. Do I have a letter? Yes, that letter is A. Next, we have negative, negative is a positive. 1 times 2 is 2. Negative, positive is negative. 1 times 3 is 3. Do I have a letter? Yes, it is A. With that 50, we're kind of just going to be copying it down for a while because there's nothing to do on this side here. Now, once you've distributed, we want to combine like terms. So things with the same letters, like -3a, positive 16a, these need to be combined. These need to be put together. And positive 2, -4, these two need to be put together. Now, when you are combining like terms, you're just adding. These are counters. Okay, so -4, positive 2, that gives us -2. 16 positives and 3 minuses give us a positive 13 with the letter A. Okay, again, we're just going to copy that 50 down. Now in this step, this now brings it down to a level 2 question. We kind of done like the really complex things. We're going to circle the term with the letter A. I'm going to cover it up. That's gone. And now I'm going to add 2 to both sides. On one side, our goal is to remove. On the other side, our goal is to add. So 50 plus 2 is 52. Bring down your 13 times A, positive if you want. Divide by your positive 13. Divide by your positive 13. Again, on one side, our goal is to remove. On the other side, our goal is to divide. Now, again, use your multiplication table for this. Let's bring down A. Same or different? Same. Both of these are positives. 15, sorry, this is not 15. 52 divided by 13. 52 divided by 13 is 4, and this is your answer. All right, beautiful people, that is it for the Are You Ready packet for our exam. Please make sure that you are practicing. Submit this to Google Classroom if you are in my class. Bye.